Whoa, 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 whoa. Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Charvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Charvette Mitchell.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia. But guess what? Heard all across the World Wide Web. Hey, dolls. Hey, gents. Welcome to another phenomenal show. I am telling you today, you want to put your seatbelts on because you're going to get some empowerment today. You know, the goal of the show is to motivate you, excite you, and influence you. And I'm telling you, both of our guests are going to do just that today. And listen, we are so excited for all those that are coming in on the phone lines, those that are hanging out in the chat room, those that are listening in from Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Charvette.com, from a mobile app, and from all of our broadcast stations. We say hello. So let me tell you about today's show, because I have my first guest hanging out with me in the virtual green room. So I know she's enjoying some virtual snacks. She is an award-winning international speaker, an author, a coach, an entrepreneur. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about no one else other than Cheryl Wood. Listen, she's the CEO of Personal Power Enterprises, LLC. She's the founder of Playtime is Over, which is a women in business conference. I know you've seen it all over the internet. And oh, my goodness, she has a phenomenal training program that includes Rock Your Stage University. She's been featured on Dr. Oz Show, ABC, Radio 1, Fox 5, Essence, oh, my goodness, Black Enterprise Magazine, and now the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. And this is long overdue. My fault, not hers. Long overdue. But listen, we're excited to have Cheryl Wood. I'm going to be bringing her up to the mic in just a second. But I got to tell you about our second guest, because I want to make sure you hang around and you stick around to hear from author and life coach Janice Singleton. Listen, she's here to talk about her life memoir. Oh, my goodness. Y'all, I'm telling you, you're not going to believe this. She is coming here to talk to us today about her book called Caught, From Correctional Officer to Federal Inmate. Yes, this young lady was a correctional officer, and with some bad decisions and some gambling things going on, ended up on the other side of the fence, as you would say. But listen, Janice Singleton says being caught was the best thing that happened, and it put her life back on track. So you want to stick around and hear in our second segment Janice Singleton. But listen, this is what I want you to do. Jump on Facebook, tell them what you're listening to. Jump on Twitter, jump on Periscope, whatever you got to do. Jump on all of your social networking sites and tell them you need to come over right now and listen to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. All right, so we're bringing, again, our first guest up to the mic, Cheryl Wood. We've been friends on social media, and she is a powerhouse. I had her sister just a couple shows ago. But Cheryl, I am so excited to have you here today on the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I love your energy, so I'm super excited. I'm pumped up.
Woohoo! I love it. Listen, I saw someone posted on Facebook just a few minutes before the show started, and they said, "What kind of energy drink are you drinking, Cheryl?" And please tell them your response, because it was brilliant.
I said, I'm taking that possibility pill.
Wow.
I'm on that possibility pill. I tell people all the time, 7 years ago when I was running the corporate rat race, I had to slam my alarm clock at least 10 times before I finally rolled out of the bed and forced myself to go to a job where I was building somebody else's dream. And now that I get to live in my God assignment and my purpose, honey, I wake up to the sound of possibility every morning.
Wow. And a mother, a wife, a business owner, I'm telling you, how do you balance it all? Is it just that pursuit of all of the possibility in life?
Yeah, and you know what? Unlike a lot of women, I don't put the guilt factor on myself as it relates to balance. So I think sometimes we get caught up in trying to be everything to everybody in our lives and all of our responsibilities at once, and it creates chaos and havoc and stress, and I don't want to be stressed out. I'm doing what I love, so I want to feel a sense of peace. And so what I make sure that I do is I make sure whatever I'm doing in that moment, if it's a professional moment, I give it 150%. If it's a personal moment, I give it 150%. Whatever I'm doing in that moment is what I give all of my energy, my focus, and my attention to. That way I don't ever have to feel like, well, I'm over here doing this, but I need to be focused on that.
Yeah, that's good advice. Good advice. All right, so let's jump in. I love these are kind of get to know you type interviews, kind of behind the scenes, behind the screens. I call it. So let's start off talking about Personal Power Enterprises and what was really the catalyst that said, you know what, I need to do this. I need to step out and make this happen.
Yeah, it really came from frustration. And I think until you're frustrated and until you're, as I tell my clients, until you get exhausted, you can never be exalted into your God assignment. And so for me, I just became exhausted from feeling like I was existing in life versus living life. So, again, I was running off to a job, punching a time clock every morning, dropping off my 3 babies, at 6 o'clock in the morning, not getting to them again until 6 o'clock in the evening, and then giving them all the worst parts of me. I was tired. I was frustrated. I was grouchy. I was angry. I wanted to be doing something else different, and was mad that I didn't have control over my own life. I was angry, I was frustrated, I was exhausted from talking about it but not doing anything about it. And so sometimes we get caught into this routine of complaining about what's not happening in our lives, saying what we wish was different, but we don't take the action steps to make it different. And until you do something different, you're never going to get nothing different. So 7 years ago, I made a decision. It was an intentional decision that I was going to do something different, which for me was getting my feet wet as an entrepreneur.
My goodness. And so, you know what? If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. I know that may not be right with the English, but there you go. Y'all know what we're talking about here. And, okay, great. And so I know that you do a lot of coaching. And who was your primary focus, your audience, that kind of target customer that you really are here to help?
Yeah, I very clearly work with women in business, women who are in those critical first 5 years. And I have a heart for those women because I know what it feels like to be chasing a dream, chasing what you think and hope is going to change your life, but you ain't making no money, and so it's never going to change your life. So we come in with so much passion, and we're fired up about serving people and helping. And, you'll hear a lot of new entrepreneurs just say, I just want to do what I love, and I just want to serve people. And that's beautiful. That's what our unique gifts and our God assignment is intended to do. However, we also serve a God of abundance, and I believe abundance is available for all of us if we avail ourselves of it. And so for me, I spent too much time not availing myself of the abundance, the prosperity, the wealth that naturally should be a part of my journey. And so I decided once I started availing myself of that, well, let me reach back and let me teach other women how to do that so that they don't have the same frustration I had about having all of this passion, knowing that you're impacting lives, but you're not profiting from it.
Oh, that is so good because as women, the men may not have this as much, but I think more so for women, we almost sometimes feel like, well, because I like what I'm doing or because I'm helping people, I almost am scared to either ask for more or ask for the value that we're giving. Do you find that with women that just coaching and periscoping and all of that we struggle with really asking for payment for service?
Oh, absolutely. And it goes to the deeper root of that problem is we don't value what we bring to the table. So when you value something, you're willing to pay for it. You're willing to invest in it. You're willing to, as the service provider, the solution provider, you're then willing to charge for it. So I have never been able to go to Starbucks and say, oh, my goodness, I love y'all. I love that mocha so much. I love it so much. Could you give it to me on a discount? Could I get a half-off special today? Right? Starbucks has never said yes to that request.
Never.
Because they value the product, and they have set a price that you have to invest if you want that product. So as women, we have to first value the service or the product that we're delivering and understand the value that it adds to someone else's life, understand how it can transform someone else's life. And when we really tap into that value, that's when we start to say, hey, I'm going to require that this is the investment for this product or this service, and then we stick to that and we're willing to ask for the sale.
Oh, ask for the sale. And so that's the coaching piece you have, and certainly listeners, you can hear the value that she can bring to you if you are in her target market. So books. When did you get into writing the books?
That's so funny that you asked that because I never wanted to write. Like, I'm one of those, look, I'm the person who I will run my mouth all day long. That is my God gift. But ask me to sit down and write something, I'm like, Lord, it's like a task. But I knew that if I was really going to be seen as an expert, that I needed to have something in writing to back up who I was saying I was as an expert. So for me, I consider myself an expert in self-help, personal development, personal empowerment. That is my space, right? That's my sweet spot. So how do I demonstrate that? Well, you got to write a book about it. If you don't write a book about it, sometimes people question if you're really the expert. So you're able to then leverage this piece of information that you've put in writing. You're able to leverage that not only to set apart for people what your expertise is, but also to get it into more people's hands. Because, of course, I can only do so much traveling, right? But that book can travel all across the country, even when I'm not there. So it allows you to get your message out to more people. So for me, I made a decision a few years into the speaking that, okay, I've got to do this. Even though it might not be my favorite thing at the top of my list to do, it's a necessity if I'm really going to take this speaking business seriously.
It's a necessity. It is a necessity. And speaking of international, I know you said the books are certainly can go internationally, but you, Miss Cheryl Wood, are international speakers. I see that. I think I saw on your Facebook you're getting ready to go to Bermuda.
Yeah!
Wow, my goodness.
So it's so funny. Well, a couple things I got to say about the whole international piece. So I always tell my clients, look, you have got to claim what you want, speak it into existence, and walk in the shoes you want to fill before you fill them. So, I was born and raised in Baltimore, and it's so funny. Once I kind of discovered that speaking was the thing I felt like I was born to do, and that's where I wanted to spend my time and my energy, on stages and platforms across the country and internationally as well, I started claiming. I was like, I started introducing myself as Cheryl Wood, the international speaker. Charvette, I hadn't even left Baltimore yet, and I was already speaking that thing into existence.
Wow.
Speaking it, telling people I was an international speaker. So you got to claim it. Right, you got to claim it, and you have to be able to visualize it before it actually manifests. And so a couple years ago, I actually had the opportunity to go to the Bahamas and speak, so that really technically, sealed the deal for me being international. But I did just recently get booked for a cruise, to speak on a cruise that's going to Bermuda. And it's actually in 2017, so it's actually next year. But I'm super excited about it. I cannot wait. And then I've just getting booked back-to-back. And then I got booked for Hawaii for later this year, and then I just got booked for Toronto, Canada for later this year. So for the summer this year. So it's growing. And so I think when you speak things into existence and you claim what it is that you want before it manifests, I think that helps the process of it manifesting.
Oh, yeah, that's so good. And you know what? And I think what is so awesome about you, Cheryl, is that you didn't just stop at speaking it into, like, you put the work in. You're on Periscope. You're doing conferences. Talk a little bit about, some people kind of say, well, I've been speaking it, but I don't see it happening. But they either are stuck at analysis paralysis, or just stuck at perfectionism. Did you ever struggle with any of that, or were you the kind of person that said, you know what, let me put it out, and we're going to correct along the way?
Yeah. We must have met before. Yeah. I'm one of those sisters who I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going for it. And the funny part about it is I was so new to the whole industry, the whole speaking and personal development. Like, I didn't grow up in that environment in my household. I grew up in, kind of old school, where my mama, she taught you, look, you better go get you a good government job. I love saying that. Go get you a good government job.
Yeah.
and you retire from that job. And so I didn't grow up with this whole idea of, personal development, professional development. I grew up in the hood in Baltimore, in Lafayette Projects. So a lot of the things that I've come to learn in the past 7 years really have been completely new to me. But that's the beauty. I think it's a beauty in that because, it was like everything was new and I was willing to explore and jump in and do crazy things when other people are like, what the ham sandwich is she thinking? I wasn't even looking at it that way. I'm just going for that life that I want to create. And so it really, I think it was a good thing that I didn't know sort of the model that most people follow, because that allowed me to just jump in and just take these big risks that have allowed me to kind of get the results that I've experienced now. And don't get it wrong, even though I took the risk, I fell down on my face a lot. I got bruised and battered and, got some scars and some wounds, but I was willing to get back up and try it again until I figured it out. And I didn't have anybody holding my hand along the way. I did a lot of reading. I went to the bookstore and I just immersed myself. I became a true student of the craft of speaking. I knew I wanted to dominate in that space, so I became a student, and I studied as much as I could, and then I started implementing it and practicing it so that I could get to the space I'm in today.
And so what was like the first speaking gig, if you will, where you said, okay, I think I made it. We might not want to say we made it, but I think I'm doing something. Was there one speaking event you can think of where you were like, wow, okay, I'm here?
Oh, that's a good question. That's such a good question. I don't think I've ever had anybody ask me that. So I think, okay, well, two. Probably the first one was the first time somebody actually paid me a real check, not just a thank you and a ham sandwich, right?
Hallelujah, yes.
Because you know how it is when you first start speaking, people are like, oh, you are so good, and we're going to feed you lunch. Honey, I don't need no more lunch, right? So probably the first time I got a real check that was, over $2,000 to come and speak for like 30 minutes on a stage. So that was probably the first one. And then I think the second, probably behind that, was my first time speaking to over 1,000 people in one room. I think those two engagements were kind of like wow, you a real speaker. You really are a speaker now.
Wow. Okay, wonderful. I always love these kind of behind the scene, behind the nuggets things. And so you have Rock Your Stage University, a Do It, Love It, Rock It training program. Tell our listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's an 8-week speaker intensive where I train new and emerging or aspiring speakers on literally from the top to the bottom of the speaking game, if you will. Everything from platform skills to truly developing your story and incorporating that story to make a heart-to-heart connection, because I think when we speak, it has to be something much deeper than just a head-to-head connection, because people can go to Google for information. People can go to the bookstore for information. So what's the connection where it's going to feel like, oh, it's something deeper? And I think that's the heart-to-heart connection of telling your story and why you do what you do, why you're so passionate about it. So everything from, how do you engage the audience to how do you make full use of the stage, how do you truly develop those platform skills. We talk about things like your tone, your pitch, your volume, your eye contact. How long can you look at somebody until you make them feel uncomfortable? And then we talk about other things, again, like I said, mapping out your signature story, as well as in that 8-week intensive, every participant maps out their signature speech. What are your talking points? What is that hot, juicy title that's going to magnetize people to want to hear your presentation, especially if starting out you're doing breakout sessions and people have to choose what session they're going to go to. And then we also dig deep into the business side of speaking. How do you create packages and programs? How do you sell those? How do you still make money even if someone hires you and says, well, we want you here to speak, but we can't cut you a check? How do you still walk out of the room with $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 in your pocket? So we go through all of those things. I give templates. I give checklists. I give a script on how you can prospect yourself for speaking opportunities. So it's a fully intensive program that's very intimate. So I normally have about 8 people in each group. I do it 3 times a year, and it just allows me to pour into, again, new, emerging, and aspiring speakers who are right where I was, just 5 or 6 years ago when I first started speaking myself. So it's an opportunity for me to kind of give back and share my information and share what I've learned through my own journey.
What a phenomenal program. So, Rock Your Stage University. Cheryl, tell them how they can find out more, sign up if you have openings, or just keep in touch with you for the next segment.
Yeah, so we have a few slots open for our April session. I usually do it January, April, and then not again until the fall and September. So right now we're enrolling for April. We do have a few slots left. They can just email me. They can email my assistant, I should say, at assistant@CherylWoodEmpowers.com. Assistant@CherylWoodEmpowers with an S on the end.com. And they can just put in the subject, Rock Your Stage Speaker Intensive, and we will get you information.
All right, take her up on that, because I have a lot of people that come to me. I do social media coaching, but a lot of people come to me saying they want to be speakers. So I am always sending them, like, you go to an expert. So listeners, the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show is endorsing this program as an option for you to
And
take
isn't
up.
that beautiful that we can do that as sisters and women? That we can say, hey, I know somebody who's amazing at this. Like, I don't want to play in your space. I don't want to play in your lane. And you're not trying to play in my lane. You know what you're the expert at. And when we can pull our resources together and have this abundance mindset and say, okay, when I know people who need X, Y, Z, I'm going to send them to you. And when I hit, I think that shows such an abundance mindset. So I value that very much.
Absolutely, absolutely. You've got to work your lane, perfect your lane and not swerve all over the road.
Yes,
Listeners,
exactly.
If you just tuned in, hey, you're checking out the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. We're here with a phenomenal, dynamic, powerhouse woman, Cheryl Wood. Listen, I've been tweeting her. I've been Facebooking, so those are easy connection points. But, Cheryl, while they are listening, let them know how they can connect with you on Facebook, Twitter, and your main website.
So, all across the social media platforms, I'm at Cheryl Empowers. I'll spell that out. I think it's pretty easy, but it's CherylEmpowers. Cheryl Empowers, and that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I'm on everything under the same name, Cheryl Empowers. And then, of course, the extension of that is my website, which is CherylEmpowers.com.
All right, there you go, and it's a pretty site, real pretty. And you know what? I got to compliment you. Pictures. You make sure you just have some really great pictures, and you look like your picture. Now, I don't have time in this show to go through speakers whose pictures don't look like them when they show up to speak. That's a whole nother show. But
amen to that. That's all I'm going to say. Amen.
Exactly. But you look like your picture, and I love your branding and all your representation. So we cannot leave this interview without talking about Playtime is Over. Hashtag Playtime is Over. It's your annual conference. First of all, tell us how you even got to that. Did somebody make you mad? You were like, look, Playtime is over. How did you get to
My
that?
My kids every day. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? It was so funny because I was, again, in the earlier stages of my business, and I found that I was spending a lot of time just sitting on social media waiting for somebody to buy something, like hoping, how we do when we first start. We think we can get on social media and post some stuff, and we're going to sell all our stuff that way. You got to get from behind that computer. You got to get out and network, create a buzz about who you are. So the social media presence is, of course, critical because it's your digital footprint. However, you also got to be doing some things. So I remember sitting behind my computer one day, like, why am I not selling nothing? I'm just kind of sitting here looking and scrolling and seeing what everybody else is doing. And I finally said, Cheryl, girl, you better, this is me talking to myself, girl, you better get it together. Playtime is over. And I decided to put that out on social media. Playtime is over. I got to get some stuff done. And it literally just caught on like wildfire. Like women loved everything that it represented, which is stop playing around, stop giving excuses, stop procrastinating, stop waiting for it to be perfect. It became the representation of all of the things that we oftentimes do, putting our dream on hold instead of getting into action and into movement so we can actually get the results that we're saying we want.
Wow, that we're saying that we want. Oh, my God. And so do you feel like some people get stuck in Playtime because they're really maybe scared of the success and what changes in their dream?
Fear is a big thing. Sometimes it's fear of, failing and everybody seeing you publicly fail, or fear of failing and losing everything. You've put in a lot of time, energy, effort, and money, and now you feel like, I didn't get the results. But then for some people, fear of success really is, it's real. And when you think about it, with with greatness, when you're talking about walking into your greatness and your God assignment, responsibility comes with that. So it really can be very fearful to think, oh, my God, I have all these people looking at me, and you know, they're looking at me to be a leader, and suppose I do something wrong, or, you know, you all of a sudden are in this position where you're getting critiqued by people who you don't even know. That's what happens when you when you get into a leadership role and people are taking notice of you and your message. And some people become very afraid of what that really looks like, thinking about the responsibility that comes with success.
Well, hashtag playtime is over. And listeners, you can actually put that hashtag in Twitter and Instagram and see what's been going on. But you've got your next conference, kind of a hold the date out there. So any sneak peeks you can tell us about the next conference that's coming up?
It's going to be fire. Hot like fire.
Fire.
Look, how I like to describe it is we talk about serious stuff in a fun environment. That's the truth. We really we work hard to bring valuable resources. You know, this past year we had Mickey Taylor, editor-at-large of Essence Magazine, was one of our featured keynote speakers. We had Brett Jeffries, who has been the associate producer at the Harpo Studio for the past 8 years. We had Janelle Hazelwood from Black Enterprise, and the list just goes on of amazing resources and women who came in to share their story, men and women. But we like to do it in a very fun, uplifting environment, because I personally, I don't want to go to a conference and feel like I'm falling asleep because I'm just sitting there and you're just giving.
Right.
Again, I can get content on my own, so I want content, but I want a combination of content and an experience. So we really create an experience, and so, you know, I don't have any names to throw out there yet because we're still in the early planning phases, and, you know, you got to have a signed contract before you can announce people's names, but
holla. That's right.
That's real business talk right there.
Yes.
But
well, we can give them the dates, right?
Yes, November 11th and 12th. It's a Friday and a Saturday, and they can even go to the website ptioconference.com and sign up to stay abreast of, you know, the announcements that we make when we roll out the speakers and the agenda and things like that. So we're pumped. We're already, our planning committee is very, very well into the stages of planning and bringing on speakers and things like that. So we're excited. We're excited about creating an experience. And again, we have women who come from across the country to come and connect and network and gain the valuable tips and tools and strategies that we share at this conference. So I think last year for 2015, I think we had women who represented, I think we had like 21 different states who were represented at that conference. And it's so funny because the first time I did it was 2014, which I was scared, Charvette, not scared. I was scared. I was like, Lord, I'm putting up all this money. Is anybody going to show up? Is anybody going to buy a ticket? But I did it anyway. I pressed through the fear. I took the risk and had about 125 women who came out. So for 2015, I wanted to play in the same space. And you know how sometimes we want to play small, we want to play safe, but God is like, oh, no, you're not playing in that space, that same space again. So ironically, we had to move because we outgrew the initial space in the first year. We literally doubled our numbers and had to move to a new venue for the second year.
Wow. Look
at God.
It's
an amazing conference. It's an amazing conference, and it adds a lot of great value. And that's not from me just hosting it. That's from the feedback we received from everybody who attended.
Oh, absolutely. I always see information and post about it on social media, so I'm going to have to stick a pin on my calendar and make sure I am making it there this year. And it's Northern Virginia and D.C. area, right?
Right. It's in Arlington, Virginia.
All right, Arlington, Virginia. Okay, my last question for you, because I want to honor your time. The goal of the show is to motivate, excite, and influence, and we want to know what continues to motivate Cheryl Wood.
You know, probably the biggest thing that motivates me is knowing that I am a living legacy for my children. So I have an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 12-year-old, and they are watching me like a hawk. You know, our kids do so much more of what we do than what we say, and so I can tell them all day till I'm blue in the face, you know, about living their dream, pursuing what they really love, serving people with their unique gift, tapping into what that gift is, and valuing it where they're willing to get out and share it with the world. But if I'm not doing it myself, most likely they're going to be like, yeah, I hear you, Mama, right? So for me, I'm truly empowered and motivated by the fact that I have a big obligation. The biggest obligation I have is to my 3 children, to show them what it means and looks like to live, not exist, but to live. And right now I feel I'm at such peace at the fact that I am doing what I feel I was born to do. I feel that I'm doing what allows me to help transform the lives of other women, and it's priceless, and my spirit is so filled by what I get to do. And so I feel like I'm truly creating that legacy for my children right now of what it means to live and do the thing that you love to do.
Well said, and certainly we applaud you. And it's just been great featuring you on the show. We'll have to have you back when we get a little further along with playtime is over, so we can get all the details out to our listeners. But it's just been great having you on the show. Thank you for stopping by.
Oh, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, sis.
I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Listeners, we're going to take a very quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to be chatting with, and oh my goodness, I'm telling you, you don't want to move, Janice Singleton, author, life coach. She has a book out, Caught: From Correctional Officer to Federal Inmate, a new glimpse look at gambling, addiction, bad decisions. But you know what? She says getting caught put her life back on track. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. Don't move.
It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Charvette will be back after this.
Apostle Olive Brown, Bishop Joel Brown, and New Jerusalem International Christian Ministries presents Dr. Alan E. Waller and Enon Tabernacle Choir all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, live in concert on Saturday, February 27th at 4 p.m. The concert location is Fountain of Deliverance Outreach Ministries, 3800 East Broad Rock Road in Richmond, Virginia. Join us Saturday, February 27th at 4 p.m. to experience the music ministries of Enon Tabernacle Choir. For more info, go to njicm.com.
Introducing contemporary gospel artist Janice with the new hit debut single titled The Blood on Remare Records.
Though they slay me, crucify me, I have been washed in your blood. I'm reading.
Purchase Janice's new hit single on iTunes, Amazon in February. Once again, be sure to check out contemporary gospel artist Janice with the new hit debut single titled The Blood on Remare Records. Follow Janice on Twitter, Facebook by going online to DeaniMusic.com. That's spelled DeaniMusic.com. That's DeaniMusic.com.
Spiritual Food for Thought, 31 inspirational quotes to jumpstart your day by LaTanya Boyd, consists of inspirational messages that offer daily words of empowerment, promote spiritual growth and development in the Lord Jesus Christ for your day-to-day living. Spiritual Food for Thought, 31 inspirational quotes to jumpstart your day. Available now on Kindle, ebook, and paperback. Log on to www.latboyd.com.
Are you starting a new business, releasing a CD, writing a new book? Consider Mitchell Productions for your web design services. Visit www.mitchell-productions.com for portfolio samples, specials, and package prices. Remember, a website is not a luxury item. It's a necessity. Check out mitchell-productions.com or find them at facebook.com/Mitchell Productions.
She's here to motivate, excite, and influence you. She's Charvette Mitchell. It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show with in-depth interviews from today's leading authors, gospel artists, stars that you want to know about. And now, Charvette Mitchell.
All right, welcome back again to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Super glad to have all of those that are hanging out with us on the phone lines, those that are coming in from Twitter and those that are coming in from Facebook.com. Hello. Those coming in from Instagram, certainly those listening from Charvette.com. Those that are checking us out from all of our rebroadcast stations, we say hello. Thank you so much for checking us out here on the show. Listen, Want to let you know if you are in Richmond, Virginia, and you're going to be at the Transformation Expo, Praise 104.7 Transformation Expo, March 19th. The keynote speaker is Iyanla Van Zant. Yes, yes, yes. Listen, we're going to have a booth there. It's a hot pink booth. I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to miss it. Make sure you stop by and say hello, get some information about our web design services, social media coaching, and all that good stuff. So we want to definitely see you there. Listen, we're going to take a quick music break as we prepare for our next guest that's coming up. We're going to take a quick music break, and this is The Power of Love by Kathy Duckett, New Artist Showcase. All right, let's a little bit of Power of Love. Kathy Duckett, she was at the Stellar Awards this past weekend, New Artist Showcase. Check her out, check her out. Listen, we're moving right on into our second segment. My guest is hanging out in the virtual green room. Really excited to be featuring Janice Singleton, author, a life coach, new book out, Caught, From Correctional Officer to Federal Inmate. And listen, we're going right now, running to the green room to bring her up to the mic. Right now, excited to feature Janice Singleton on the show. Hello, Janice. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
All right. So glad that we could feature you here on the show. So certainly this book, the title alone, just pulls you in. Tell our listeners a little bit about your story, really in your own words.
Okay. The title of my book is called From a Correctional Officer to a Federal Inmate. At one point in my life, I was a correctional officer, and I worked in corrections for like 15 years until I caught a charge filing false tax returns. And the tax returns that I filed, they were tax returns on offenders that was incarcerated with the Mississippi Department of Corrections. And later I was caught for filing fraudulent tax returns. After working 15 years in corrections, then I found myself on the other side of the criminal justice system, which I did approximately 38 months in the Federal Bureau of Prisons in Marietta, Florida. So I decided to write a book, which is entitled Caught, because I wanted to just let people know that, you know, what you do in the dark, it will come to the light, and people are still today filing fraudulent tax returns is just on the rise today. It's just like it's not an ending to it, but if a person can read my book and understand the consequences that you face, whether it's tax fraud or whatever crime that you committed, then it's not worth it in the end. So by me taking the information, stealing the Social Security numbers of the offenders from the Department of Corrections, and I own my own tax business. I started a tax business at the age of 18, and I brought the information from my job to my tax business and filed fraudulent tax returns.
Wow. And so while the activity was going on, did you think, well, you know, this is not that bad, or I'm just going to do this, you know, for a little while just to get some extra cash? Did you think it would snowball like it did?
No, ma'am. Honestly, I only did it within a 6-month span. It wasn't like something I did every day. It was something where when I first decided to take the names, I was just sitting at my computer one day at work, and I was like, if I get, because the information, I worked in visitation, so I had access to the information, the offenders, their Social Security numbers, their date of birth, and their release date. But at the time I took those names, I didn't realize that some of these offenders would eventually go up for parole, because most of the names that I took were offenders that had a long sentence, like just say anywhere from 20 years or more. So after taking the names, I maybe took, the first time I took like 5 names. And on those 5, I think like 3 came back. So I didn't go back to work the next day and take another 5 names. I waited like some time had passed, and then I took some more names. And believe it or not, each time that I took those names, I said, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to touch this information anymore. But I turned around and I did it again, and then I did it again, and then I did it again. But one of the offenders that I took, apparently he was released and tried to file his own personal tax return, but it came back showing that his taxes was already filed. So I guess he stayed persistent about, he didn't file taxes. He was incarcerated at the time. That's how I ended up getting in trouble. So I committed the crime in 2006, and I actually got in trouble. I actually started getting investigated at the end of 2006, and I got in trouble in January of 2007.
Wow. Well, first, let me just say, thank you for your courage and your transparency, to share your story and to share your experience, because certainly you could have just gone on with life. A lot of people do a lot of things and they sweep it under the rug, close the door, and never say anything, but you wanted to help someone. So first, I applaud you certainly for that. And so can you talk a little bit about how, being a correctional officer and then finding yourself on the other side, did you have, was it a harder time because did they know your history? Did they know that you were a previous corrections officer, those that were in with you?
Yes, ma'am. Basically, when I don't really know about state, but even though I work in a state facility, but when you go do Fed time, it's like when you arrive, the inmates know everything about that person. I don't know because they know people are going to come beforehand, right, before you get there. And then you have offenders that work in administration, so they see some of the paperwork. So when I got there, pretty much people knew that I worked for the Mississippi Department of Corrections, and plus it was some young ladies that I became friends with that was sentenced the day before me, so they reported like 3 weeks before I did. So they was telling people, oh, we have another friend coming, she used to work for the Mississippi Department of Corrections, so it wasn't a secret that I was once a correctional officer. But during the time, it was very stressful. embarrassing because, you know, as I look at the correctional officers in their blue uniform, you know, I go back with reminisce to say, well, you know, I was once in that uniform. That's what I would tell myself. And now I'm in brown khaki. So a lot of things that they did in their job, I did it pretty much in my everyday job too. So I knew a lot of procedures and a lot of things that they used to do. So like standing for counting the offenders at certain times, even though I was at a camp, and you have more freedom, but still I lost my freedom because of, you know, committing a crime. And then it took some time to realize that, you know, you'll never be able to be in that blue suit again. You'll never be able to work in law enforcement. And that's what I have my BS degree in, is in criminal justice. So, you know, that's just a degree just gone down the drain. So it was real stressful. It was embarrassing. It was just like hard to deal with when I first got there, but after a period of time, you know, I got over it. And then when you talk to some of the officers and they learned that, okay, we used to be a correctional officer, you know, it's always going to be questions to, you know, why you do this or why did this happen. But at the time that I took those names, you know, I honestly had a gambling problem. I'm just not going to blame it on gambling, but that's basically what I did with the money, take it to the casinos and gamble. So I just, you know, had an addiction that I wasn't aware of, that it had escalated to that point.
And certainly, and I definitely want to give a shout-out from the chat room. Joan Wilson is listening in, and she's saying, Janice, how transparent and authentic of you to share with us. So big shout-out there. And your book, one of the purposes of your book is really to shine the light on gambling and the addiction and how it has impacted really America. Maybe we don't know the problem is there. So certainly that is one thing that you want to highlight in the book, right, to help people either identify that there may be a gambling problem or,
Yes, ma'am, because a lot of people, like I say, I didn't realize that I had a gambling problem, because when you think of addictions and really being addicted, whether it's gambling or on drugs or whatever you may be addicted to, like, say, most people that just say gambling, you know, most people that have that bad addiction and they let it get too far out of hand, just say maybe they lost their home, they lost their car, their utilities are getting cut off. In my case, I didn't have that problem. I paid my house note, I worked, I paid my bills, but I still had, because I made money in my tax business, that's why I had no reason to do, you know, what I did, because I was making money. So I didn't think, well, I fit the category of the profile of having addiction. But I realized that I did after I started going to Gambling Anonymous. I found out that I really did have an addiction, even though I was one of those people paying my bills, taking care of home, taking care of my family, taking care of my son. I still was providing because I had the resources and I had the income, so I didn't realize. So sometimes people don't realize that they have an addiction. In order to get help, you know, you have to admit, well, okay, I have a drug problem, I have an alcohol problem, I have a gambling problem, and you have to seek help, because as time go on and you continue to have those addictions or whatever, you know, whatever it may be, eventually you might start doing something that'll prevent you to stray in the wrong direction, prevent you to make bad decisions, bad choices, where you may start doing criminal things like, just say, writing bad checks or stealing from your employment, different things of that nature. So it's just hard to say, but I just tell people, you know, if you know that you have a gambling problem, you know, you need to seek help before it just escalates and before it get out of hand. And that's basically what happened with me. I just used to love to gamble, and no one really knew that I gambled much as I did, even though I would go out, go to Vegas and different places and things. But like I say, my family didn't realize, or they didn't notice that, you know, I gambled much as I did until after I got in trouble.
And so that certainly one of the quotes in your bio says, getting caught help put your life back on track. And so was there a turning point, while incarcerated that, things just turned around for you, turned up for you?
Well, not really. Well, after I got out, I stayed depressed. I went to counseling for 3 years. I've been working since I've been home, and I was blessed to have a decent job.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those ones that was given a second chance to be able to work in the field that I'm working in and doing what I'm doing. But I stayed depressed a lot, so it was just a very depressing moment for me.
But at some point, you turned the corner because you got the courage, to write this book and to really put your story and what your experiences, onto paper. And so, was there, what gave you the courage to do that part?
Okay, during the time I was incarcerated, I decided to write the book. One day, I was just walking out on the track, and I was like, I know it's something that I could do, to try to get through to people that doing fraudulent taxes. If you have a replica tax business, even though I had my tax business and I didn't defraud any of my clients, but still I did wrong. But a lot of people still defraud their clients, and they do other things in the tax business. So I was like, well, maybe if I could just get out and just even go around to different tax offices and just let them know, they need to know who they have working in their office. They need to know, do a background check on these people, and they need to know that they're not sitting in their office, padding tax returns. So I just said, okay, well, if I could write this book and if I could reach out to people and just let them know everything that I went through, because during the process, I got in trouble in 2007. I didn't go serve time to 2009, I think it was in November, in the middle, the 1st of November. So it's like my life had been on hold all those years. And then when I went to do my time, my life, I was doing the time. And when I came home, it's like my life was still on hold because I was on probation. And I was on state and federal probation, because not only did I have federal charges, I had state charges as well. So during the time that I was incarcerated, I was like, I could just use this time to just tell my story and just let people know that, greed, what greed can do, what greed can land you in prison.
In prison, and certainly we don't want to be there. Yeah.
Right today here where I live in Mississippi, it's like every day when you turn the TV on, people are getting in trouble for committing tax fraud. And, this is the time of the year where people are running their business. People are filing their taxes. Most people that's running a replica tax business, they can't get any clients because you have the ones that just put a bill, just open the office, do your taxes, and they're nowhere to be found after April the 15th. So they make it bad for the people that are not doing things like that in their tax office.
That's a good point for those that are looking for tax preparers, that this, kind of highlights that you want to make sure you pick someone who has some track record, someone that you will be able to find and go to their office after April 15th. So that's a really great point. And so, Janice, I certainly, while people are listening, how can they get a hold of your book?
You can purchase my book through Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can go to, any bookstore and purchase the book, or you can go to my website. It's www.caughtngt.com.
Great. And we have linked right there for you guys. If you're hanging out on charvet.com, we've got a great blog post about Janice and also about Cheryl Wood, our first guest. So if you're hanging out on charvet.com, you can link to both websites, both of their sites, right from there. And Janice, I love that you have a free excerpt of your book on your website, caughtmgt.com. And, the book opens up by saying, where would I be if not for his grace? God's grace has manifested in my life through the loving and supportive people who've stood by me. So talk a little bit about your support system.
I had a pretty good support system. I have one son. My son, my mom, my sister, I had people that stood by me, and I had people that didn't stand by me.
Mm-hmm.
And, for a while I was angry because I said, well, all these people, you have friends when you can give them money or you can do things for them, they at your beck and call. But I felt like that some of my friends that should have stood by me didn't, but I had my family, so that made it even better. And as we speak, I'm working on my second book, which will be released in probably about 2.5 months. And the title of this book is Release, Life After Prison. And that's where I will talk about, people that you think are your friends are really not your friends. And you would know your friends when you get in trouble. And when I stood before the judge, he told me, he said, you have all these friends going into the criminal justice system, but you will not have these friends when you get out. And I can honestly say that that's been stuck with me from day one, ever since he told me that in 2009 when I stood in his courtroom. And he was so right. He was so true of the statement that he made. So you have friends, but they're not going to be, all of your friends are not going to just stand by your side. They're going to make excuses. It's not like I really needed anything from them, but just the support. So I had a lot of support from my family.
And you know what? I think a lot of people, a lot of us listening may not have the same situation and scenario you have, but can attest that some of the friends you start out with, you're not going to end up with. And I think that is, yeah, and I think that's all of us have had that experience. So you are not in a silo with that, Janice. You are not alone there. Listen, I jumped over to Amazon. This is reality radio here, and so you've got some great reviews on Amazon. One young lady on Amazon put, this is a great life story that will captivate and have you mesmerized from start to finish. Also can be a self-help book for addicts who don't know that they have an addiction. Wow. So that's one of the reviews there on Amazon. And so do you also do speaking, and go to different places to speak about the topics in your book?
Yes, ma'am. I do several speaking engagements. Actually, I have like 3 lined up for next month. So I'm starting to do speaking engagements. Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how can people connect with you online, on your social media, and all that good stuff?
They can connect with me. I'm on Facebook up under my name. Just type in my name and I'll come up. Also, I'm on Twitter. I do Instagram, but I don't check my Instagram as much like I do Facebook. So I'm basically on Facebook every day. Okay. And they can just inbox me, send me a message, and I will respond.
Wonderful. And we have tagged you a couple times. So, listeners, that's an easy connection point. If you're following me on Facebook, facebook.com/Charvette, Twitter.com/Charvette, and Instagram, it's Charvette M. And certainly if you're just on Charvette.com, we've got connection points right there for our guests. So my last question for you today, Janice, the goal of my show is to motivate, excite, and influence, and we want to know what continues to motivate you.
Just striving for perfection, just trying to stay encouraged, trying to stay uplifted, motivated, and just trying to do the right thing in life.
Wonderful. Well, I think you are well on your way. And again, I want to applaud you for, sewing into others, sharing your story. You have much to offer. You have much to share, so don't ever quiet down for anyone. Don't ever feel anything about, well, should I share? If you feel that nudge, certainly share your story. You're helping people, so I encourage you to continue with that, and we'll keep an eye out for you for your next book that's coming out, and we just wish you much more continued success.
And I appreciate you for having me on your show.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. You're welcome. All right, listeners, guess what? That is going to be a wrap for today. If you listen to any portion of the show and you're like, man, I know someone that needs to hear this, all you got to do is send them over to Charvette.com. Charvette.com is where you will be able to hear the show and listen to it as many times as you would like, and then also find out, see the full bios for all of our guests and find out all the information that you need on Charvette.com. Also want to remind you, listen, I am a web designer. I am a social media coach, and if you are an entrepreneur, female entrepreneur, small business owner, speaker, preacher, author, I can help you accelerate your exposure on social media and help you create something amazing. So stop by CharvetteMitchell.com there, CharvetteMitchell.com, for all of the information and all of the services. And listen, next week we have another phenomenal show, so we don't want you to go anywhere. We want you to always keep it locked here on the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show and share the link with a friend. Again, it has been awesome, and we thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to see you guys next week.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you have been listening to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Connect with her at Charvette.com. And until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. The Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Signing off.